Well, today I've got my Millyard Viper 8-litre V10 booked in for an MOT at 1 o'clock. So I'm just going to give it a little check over to make sure everything still works, because it hasn't been used since last August. And then I can take it to the MOT station, get an MOT, and hopefully this afternoon go out for a really nice ride in the spring sunshine. So the first thing I'm going to do is check the tyre pressures. The front was pretty much okay. When I checked the back, it was a little bit low. The rear tyre was 34 psi, and I normally run 48, so it was a little bit low, so I had to put in a bit of air. That's better, 48 psi. I checked the condition of the two rubber safety straps on the centre stand, and they're just fine. And the rear footrests fold down nicely. I then checked the feel of the rear brake. I can feel hydraulic pressure in the system, so that's good. And the right-hand side stand works just perfect. I switch on the ignition to check the electrical systems, and I can hear the clutch booster pump, the fuel injection pump, and the water pump whirring away, so that's a good sign. And when I check the clutch booster pump kicks in and out as it should, so I'm really pleased with that. The clutch can be operated by hand or by foot via an extra slave cylinder on the handlebar lever. I'll just demonstrate how the system works. I can use the foot pedal or the hand lever to operate the clutch, or both together. I've ridden the Viper 9,150 miles since August 2009, and the speedo still holds my last Elvington speed run of 189 miles an hour. I can hear the electric water pump pumping coolant around the system, and there doesn't appear to be any leaks, so that's great. All 10 spark plug caps are still nice and tight on the spark plugs and look in great condition, so they're okay. The next thing I check is the indicators, so I put the switch to the left and the front left works, the rear left works, the rear right works, but the front right doesn't work, so I've got a problem there, but the back brake light works, so that's good. These are COSO LED indicators, so they're unlikely to be broken, so I'm suspecting it might be a wiring issue in the headlight. I remove the two screws and drop down the headlight to reveal the wiring. I start looking for any loose wires, so first switch on the ignition so the indicators will be flashing. Then, if I wiggle the wiring, I might find the one that's loose. I can see one that's not quite engaged. It's sort of slightly pushed in but not all the way. I push it right in and the light starts flashing, so that's really good. I've found the problem. With the indicators now flashing, I can replace the headlight and replace the two screws, tightening them tightly with my Allen key. With the headlight fitted, I'll give it one last check and the indicators now flash perfectly. So while I'm there, I check the headlight on main beam, and high and low beam works perfect as well, so that's good. I'll now check the action of the throttle, and it opens smoothly and snaps shut, which is just perfect. And the little white dots indicate to me how much throttle I'm using when I'm doing my speed testing, so I know that half throttle was 207.101 miles per hour. I check the condition of the front brake, looking at the brake pads and all the fittings and the pipes to make sure everything's okay and nothing's worn, and it all looks just perfect, and I'm really pleased with that. The front brake has twin 6-pot Pre-Tech calipers with titanium pistons, titanium heat shields and Kevlar composite pads. I hear a bit of noise out front, so I go and have a look. It's definitely not this robin, because he's fake, but it could be this one, and he's having a bird bath, having a flap around. He loves it in the water. But I think it's these two, these blackbirds having a right old flap. But no, it's Tracy. She's going shopping with all her bags. She'll be gone for hours, so I don't think there's going to be any cupcake cooking today. But I know, you never know. She might come back early. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, I'm just checking my tyres. Both the tyres feel great and there's plenty of tread, so now I can polish the exhaust system. The silencers are made from aluminium and they polish up really nice with metal polish. I'm wearing my purple rubber gloves because when you polish aluminium your hands get absolutely black and it's really hard to wash off. There we go, that's much better, I'm really pleased with that. So now I can rock the bike from its right side stand to its left side stand so I can polish the brake pedal. The stainless steel heat shields also come up really well with metal polish. The last thing I polish is the Viper logos on the magnesium rocker covers. These come up really nice. With the polishing done, the next thing I do is check the hydraulic fluids for the clutch, and they're okay, and also the chain oiler tank, and that's full, so that's good. After a quick clean around, I replace the seat. I then rock the bike to the centre to check the rear suspension damping, and it's just fine. The bike's fitted with its intermediate size rear sprocket. This gives a speed range of about 200 mile an hour at 6,000 revs, but I got sprockets for various speeds from 270 to 160. I checked the operation of the chain oiler. This works just great. There's a little tank under the seat and a little pump by the side of the bike that I can pull in and out. You pull it out and the spring returns it nice and slowly, displacing oil onto the chain as you ride along. I checked the operation of the foot clutch lever and the neutral lever, and they both work just fine. And I hear some more noise outside, and it's Tracy returning from her shopping trip, and she's got so much stuff she can barely get in the front door. Everything looks okay along the left-hand side of the bike. I'm looking for spark plug leads and any hydraulic pipes that might have leaks, but they all look just fine. And here's my Isle of Man TT 2012 badge that I fitted when I rode the Viper over to the Isle of Man. Under the bike, the sump looks in good condition and no signs of any oil leaks, which is a good thing. And the chain tension feels just about right, so that's good. The petrol gauge showed that the tank was empty, so I went to the garage and got 8 litres of super unleaded petrol in a can to top it up just for the test ride. That might get me to the garage so I can fill it up properly. I carefully pour the petrol into the bike. I checked the fuel gauge and it's got 2 bars, so that's good. Well, I've given the Viper a really good check over and everything seems to be working just fine. So I'm going to go and get all my gear on and then ride it to the MOT station and hopefully it'll pass. And then this afternoon I can take it out for a nice ride. test ride, and the Viper passed its MOT, which is really cool, and it's going so well I can't wait to get out on it again. But for now, I've got a few more checks just to check over after its first test ride. The Viper weighs 600 kilos, but I can still move it around on my own in my garage. It's a little bit difficult, but I can manage. You have to sort of lean it on your leg and push it backwards and forwards. And sometimes turning the steering is really difficult when it's stationary. But you just have to be forceful and push on the bars hard. With the bike parked on its left-hand side stand, I grease the wrist swinging on pivots with my grease gun. I do this every time I ride the bike really, because it's a high-stress bearing and I like to keep it well lubricated. I get a few comments on my channel about how I operate the centre stand from the Viper bike. It weighs 600 kilos, so it's not the sort of thing you could normally do on your own, but I've designed this ratchet system using a ratchet spanner and a ratchet on the centre stand that's driven through a gear to the main frame. This allows me to winch the bike safely onto the centre stand single-handedly. The first thing I do is release the two rubber safety straps from the main centre stand. Then I adjust the ratchet on the bike so the centre stand will click down to the ground and stop. I then place the ratchet lever onto the centre stand and adjust its ratchet so that I can pump it down. Then I use my foot, gradually, one step at a time, to winch the bike up off the ground. And every time I take my foot off, the bike is stable because the ratchet won't return. And then eventually it goes over the fulcrum and falls back and it's securely on the centre stand. I then remove the ratchet lever and stow it back underneath the seat. With the bike securely on the centre stand, it's easy to rotate the wheel to check for any damage. To take the bike off the centre stand, I put the ratchet spanner back onto the centre stand, adjust the ratchet the opposite way so I can pump it forward rather than backwards, then using my foot, gradually take the bike past the fulcrum point, holding the front brake so it doesn't go too far, and then letting it release onto the ground. And I usually put down the side stand just to make sure that if it falls towards me, it hits the stand, not me. With the bike now resting on its side stand, I stow the ratchet lever back under the seat. Well, I've just finished doing all my checks and the Viper's in perfect condition and all ready for its next ride. I tend to ride the Viper when it's dry, but every now and again I have taken it out in the rain, and my best memory was taking it to the Isle of Man TT in 2012 when it poured down and I had to ride it up the ramp onto the ferry in a pouring down rain and a gale, and that was amazing fun, but a bit scary. Well, it's getting late now and the hedgehogs have just come round for their evening meal. There's plenty of food for all of them, but they have to have a bit of a fight. They're very strange.